You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week in the mountains of Arizona. It's autumn, it's beautiful. A couple things you should be noticing right now is the autumn colors that started early, they're starting to be, naked. They're deciduous. Deciduous means they lose their leaves in the winter. Evergreen is they hold their foliage. They may not necessarily be green all the time. Some evergreens turn gray. They turn purple. They turn reds and burgundies. They're just different colors, but they hold their leaves year round. Deciduous, whether it's a shrub or a tree, loses their leaves through winter. They need to rest. That's many of the blooming plants like lilacs and forsythia and a rose of Sharon and crepe myrtles. These are things that need to rest. They put all this energy into blooming. And then they need to kind of hibernate, kind of like a squirrel or a bear. They need to kind of let go, just kind of reset, gather their energy, rest for a bit, and then come back next spring with vengeance and do it all over again. The evergreens, they don't need to do that as much. They tend to rest right after they're done elongating. So a spruce tree, now's the time to plant spruce and pines and firs and junipers. This is the peak time. Well, they tend to rest from summer through winter. And then they put all of their energy into bursting with new growth. They only grow one time. So a spruce tree will grow about 18 inches a year. If it's truly happy, maybe a little bit more. If it's not quite happy, maybe a little less, but about 18 inches. It's going to push that growth in the spring, and whatever you get for the spring, that's all you're going to get for the entire year. And then it rests for the rest of the year. It actually doesn't just rest. It actually thickens up those new needles. They become waxy. They kind of protect themselves. And that's where they're so winter hardy. They're just so robust because they've been hardening themselves off from summer through autumn through winter. And then they're forming right now new I call them leaf buds. So new buttons on the ends of those branches. That's the bigger that button can be, the more growth you're going to have next spring. And so things are in transition right now. That's also the spruce trees. That's why you're putting those in now. So they'll continue. They'll root out some through the end of the year. Then they're going to flush all of this new growth. And from the farm, I mean, we've really juiced them. We want them green and rich and healthy so that when they do burst with new growth next spring, you get maximum growth. And then right after that, new candle growth of a pine tree or a spruce or a fir or whatever that evergreen is, the bigger that elongated growth is, the more the roots you get. It's just a really good way to go. Deciduous plants, they need to hibernate or just kind of rest for a bit. And then right now you are noticing many leaf buds and flower buds. So I noticed my peach tree. It's got a few leaves left. It's definitely gold. I'd say your apricots and your nectarines, they're all in the same league. They're all in the same, they're related to each other. They're kind of finishing up. But when the leaves fall off, you'll notice, look closely at the branches and you'll see little nodes, little buttons, little nodules. That is the flower bud for next spring. It's a flower or a leaf bud. One of those two. Generally for fruit trees, that's a flower bud. The more of those you have, the more potential for fruit. It's been a tremendous fruit year this year. Just lots of apples coming off right now. Lots of pears coming off right now. So that's why you're planting those now, so that they can get adjusted to their new home, I'd say, and then they're going to erupt with new flower buds and form new fruits next spring. And so the secret with those, don't be alarmed when they lose their leaves. This is for you tropical folks, the Hawaii, the Southern California, the south of Arizona. They're not used to things losing their leaves. It's okay. It's natural. They need to do this. If you're seeing some yellow on your plants, so not just fall color, but let's say your evergreens like privets and red tip photinia, cotoneasters, all of these, we call them broadleaf evergreens. They're the ones that are most noticeable. If they've got any amount of yellow on them right now, they should not. That is not healthy. Usually what that is a lack of nutrients. And so they're starving to death. And so those plants that have yellow on them right now, they won't form nice leaf buds. They won't have good flower buds. And so if you've not fertilized in the last 6 months or so, you'll see this. Or if you've been watering like crazy, all that food you gave it back last spring has flushed out, and now it is actually gone. And so the plant is it's saying, hey, I'm emaciated. I'm getting pale. I need some help here. Watch after me. Could you help? And so you just give them some granular food. So the all-purpose plant food, 744 all-purpose plant food is the best stuff ever. Give it some of that, and it will green back up. It'll get you more leaf buds, more flower buds. The fertilizing in autumn is the most important, bar none. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough, because of this whole sequence of I'm forming next spring's flower and leaf buds. Or if it's an evergreen, it's forming that new button. And the bigger that elongation of that new node on the end of that branch gets, the more roots you get, the hardier it is, the deeper it is, the more drought robust. Just kind of, there's a lot going on for it. You folks with new landscapes, it's even more important. So new landscapes, because the roots just really haven't, you put in let's say a 5-gallon plant, it's kind of the standard tree, or a 15-gallon tree. That bucket, all the roots that plant knows are inside that bucket. They need to elongate outside that and get into that surrounding soil. And then all of a sudden it will be very happy next spring when it gets 100 degrees next into June, first part of July, when the summer is, it'll go through that like it was nothing. It'll just be happy with that. You won't have to water every day because it's got roots all over the place. You can water once a week and it'll be just fine. And so right now, your landscapers are adjusting water. And so if they've done that and you've got brand new plants, those brand new plants, because that root is still defined by the bucket. It hasn't elongated out. Those roots should go out 3, 4, 5, 6 feet away from where that original plant roots were. If that's the case, they're going to be more dependent on you through winter. They're going to need some supplementing this winter. So I'm telling folks right now, as soon as you turn that irrigation off, sometime in November, we tend to throttle back. So as plants lose their leaves, they don't need as much water. They still need water. Here in Arizona, they never shut down. It's not like the Midwest. You Midwest folks, we don't have a frost line here. I mean, the code says your water pipes and sewer pipes need to be 18 inches under the ground. That's barely scratching the surface. Some of you folks from Wisconsin, you've got 6 foot, 8 foot water lines. You're down so deep because the ground freezes. We don't do that here. And because of that, your plants, that sap will still flow even in midwinter, even in January. I mean, it was 12 degrees last night, but it will be 55, 60 degrees this afternoon. That's why it's so beautiful here. I mean, even middle of the day, it's still bright and sunny. You still see the blue sky. You can still go out and with a couple layers, go out and hike around and just enjoy the outdoors. That's the beauty of Arizona, especially the mountains of Arizona. It's the best. And your plants are happy with it too. So you'll find that they tend to still form those buds. They'll be slower, but they're still forming. They're still growing. They're still that sap is still flowing and feeding next March into February. First part of March is when you see spring hit here in the Central Highlands. I call it, let's say it's Cordes Junction to Prescott Valley, Dewey, Chino Valley, Paulden, Prescott, of course, over the mountain towards Kirkland, Skull Valley, those areas, Hillside. That's where all the Central Highlands, we're all the same elevation. I would even include, and some of you folks on the other side of the mountain, you think you're more special than we are. You're not. You're the same. Camp Verde, Cottonwood, Sedona, you're the same. We're all the same. We're all the Central Highlands. We're the same. So the plants will start to wake up sometime after Valentine's Day, and then it goes from there. So it's usually the daffodils are starting to bloom, especially on that eastern slope on the Mingus. That's that Cottonwood, Jerome, those areas, Sedona, where you get some of those warm rocks up there, they start to take off early. And so by the end of February, you're seeing, oh, it's spring's here. It's getting ready. The spring bloomers are starting to really go. And then it's forsythia hit, then it's lilacs bloom, and then it's roses hit. And then it's a progression right after that. But they're deciduous. They need to rest for a bit. There, that's the end of the first segment. We will be right back after this with more important garden tips, tricks, and garden advice. Watters Garden companion plants for November are flowering pear, English ivy, camellias, and Vanderwolf pine.
Vanderwolf is related to Arizona pines with fluffy foliage.
It's remarkably resilient in dry Arizona soils.
Makes a graceful specimen in yards or expansive estate landscapes.
This distinctive pine has long, twisted, silver blue needles covering the dense branches.
Carefree and easy to grow.
Shop by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. All right, so Ken and Lisa Lain, the mountain gardeners. In this segment, Lisa just brings garden questions. What are your neighbors talking about that maybe we can share that would help you in your own backyard as well? So welcome to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
You're looking fabulous, my dear. Fabulous.
And
you look fall ready.
I can see myself on the camera, and I can tell you.
The great thing about audio, the terrestrial towers, all they hear are the voices, but we're starting to do this by video as well for vlogging or whatever. And you do have to watch what how you look more often. Allergies still bothering you?
They are.
Ragweed going crazy. I get a little tinge too. I think it's the wind or the dust or mold. I have no idea. It's something fall is in the air. Yeah. But suck on a little bit of coffee, hot tea, and it kind of helps.
I've never had allergies. I've lived here my entire life. Never had allergies till about 2 years ago.
Yep. Till COVID. It's COVID's fault. Everything is COVID's fault.
I always tell people I don't have COVID. I promise. It's just allergies. Because I feel fine. Nothing's wrong. But yeah, my voice and a cough.
Well, you look fine.
Well,
okay. To this old guy.
This is the man who's going blind and wears one contact.
Okay, so anyway, we've had a couple customers in this week, and they're going, no, I really enjoy listening to you all, but you laugh so much that it's hard to follow what you're saying sometimes. So clean it up. No, they were very kind. Yeah. So we're just having too much fun on the airwaves.
We get a little carried away sometimes.
Sometimes it's better to have fun and be misunderstood than to not have fun and be understood.
Yeah, we don't want to be
deep and profound. I think Ben Franklin said that.
Sure, sounds like
Mark Twain. You put their names on any statement.
It sounds good no matter what.
Yeah, it's an affirmation. Yeah. So garden questions. Yeah. What are we talking about?
Well, so Mark really wants to put a Vanderwolf pine in his yard.
That's great.
And he was told, be careful, watch for drainage. They're very sensitive to that. Yeah. So he did a test hole. It took 48 hours for the water to drain out of there.
Okay.
Wants to know, what do you think? Should I do it? Should I not? Find another spot?
Yeah. So Vanderwolf pines are pines do really well in northern Arizona. And then most of the listeners here are tuning in from northern Arizona. They do not, they adapt well because it's dry, it's arid, it's bright, it's high altitude, extreme temperature swings, everything that pine trees love. We have it here, except for soils that don't drain. And so if it drained I was hoping for 12 hours. They go, go fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're overthinking this. 2 days to get the water out of the hole. That's a lot, especially in the monsoon patterns. Yeah. There's 2 times when we get real wet here. March, the first part of April, you get these real heavy, wet snows that take weeks to melt and disappear. You see damage on evergreens then. And the monsoons, August, September, lots of rain consistently, multiple times a week, where the whole, you'll get rain more than every 2 days. And so the plant never gets a chance to breathe. Pines don't like that. What can you do for this hole? So it was Mark, right? Correct. Mark, don't plant a Vanderwolf pine in that hole as it is. Change it up. Now, what we do is we create, in the industry, we call it a chimney. We'll take a piece of that hole and we'll try to dig it to the next soil band, the next layer of earth. And you'll see when you're driving down the road, you'll see these big earth cuts and you'll see different bands, different layers of soils. Well, you've got that in your yard too. You just want to try to dig down to the next
layer, and all of a sudden the plant will start draining. You can take a digging bar, a jackhammer, just a shovel and try to peck out a piece. When you see the soil texture change, test it again. My guess is it will now breathe, will drain. Plant your hole then. The other tip I can give you, and this is what I learned years ago, plant on a slight mound. So don't plant, whatever you do, don't plant in a divot, no matter where you're talking about in northern Arizona. Don't put it in a hole. That's what they do down in Phoenix, where it's 110 degrees out in June and it's midnight. It's just hot. So here we cool down. And so plants, and we get much more moisture. So you want the top of the root ball to be at soil level or even a little above, and mound that soil out. To be above would be critical for this Vanderwolf or pretty much any evergreen. No evergreen likes soggy, wet soil. And so to leave 2, 3, 4 inches of the root ball out of the ground, and then take some of this extra mulch, extra soil, topsoil, and then mound some dirt up. So when you finish, I don't see exposed root, but I see a slight mound. It's tapered, so it's no one will see it except maybe you, the gardener. And then put your irrigation on top of that mound. Put your water basin around that at the outside edge, and that will guarantee that at least 3, 4 inches of the root ball can breathe. That's a game changer. Your mortality rate will drop dramatically just with that technique. But the way it currently is, what the question was posed, took 2 days for my soil to, should I plant it there? The answer is no, unless you modify the hole or change it or raise bed or another part of the yard. So they're so sensitive to which makes them drought hardy. They're tough. They go through drought and hot and heat, low water. They got a lot of things going for them, but soggy soil ain't one of them.
Right. So beware with that one. All right. Next question is from Don. He says, I think I heard you say to prune lilacs, not to prune lilacs this time of year.
Okay.
He said, if that's true, my maintenance man didn't get the same information.
Get the memo.
He wants to know, is there anything you can do at this point, or is the year?
So have your wife go outside. The maintenance guys are out there. Have her hold them while you can slap them, because they just totally blundered the whole thing. There's no recovery at this point. So that is not going to affect the health of the lilac or your spring bloomers. It doesn't affect that at all. It just won't bloom. So when they pruned it back this time of year, they cut off the flower bud that's been forming for 4 or 5 months. Now, is there enough time to possibly have new flower buds to form? It would be worth a try. I would try it. Or can we bulk up the flower buds that remain? Let's say there were some down towards the heart, the inside of that shrub, or off to the sides. Many times they'll cut back the top trying to get it down. And so you'll see these butchered lilacs, they bloom off to the sides and not up to the top. It looks like a Dr. Seuss lilac or something. But what I would do is I would fertilize that with the all-purpose plant food right away, like right now. And then I would get a bag of super phosphate specifically for them, add super phosphate to the fertilizer. Super phosphate 0,18,0. That middle number forms flowers. And so put that on there, pray for rain and snow through the winter, and you'll find out here into March and April whether it worked or how much it worked. And what that will do is you'll get great foliage, and the few flower buds that are there will bulk up, and you might get some additional flower buds. And then train your staff train your gardener. You prune lilacs in April and May. You don't prune them in November. Come on. Anyway.
Probably May. Yeah, that was bad. But maybe you can recover.
That's okay.
Okay.
It'll be beautiful. Just won't blow.
So Barb would like to know, she had a 10 by 10 patch of wildflowers. That was beautiful. Of course, it's kind of reached the end of its season.
Yeah.
She wants to know if she can just take a weed whacker or a mower and go over that, and if now's the time to do it.
Yeah, you can do that right now. It'd be perfectly fine. So for our wildflowers, what we're going to do, so I've got a beautiful patch just outside the studio here. It's way bigger than 10 by 10. And it's fun to look out the studio while I'm writing garden columns and watch the birds, butterflies out there. It's just magical. Wildflowers do really well here. I'm going to leave that patch for the birds as long as I can. I'll probably leave it out there because the coneflowers, the Mexican hats, the
Mhm.
echinaceas, they're all fabulous and great seed sources for the birds.
Birds.
And then I'll probably go back and just weed whack that or mow it aggressively. Probably in January, February, March, sometime when it just looks so ratty and I've got nothing to do and I'm kind of want to go garden and it's a nice warm day in January, I'll probably take the mower out there and just mow it or weed whack it. But I'm thinking of my birds specifically.
Good
I'll keep it
idea.
out there for them.
Yeah.
But if you really wanted to, yes, you could do it right now. No problem. Go for it. And so anytime between now and March, prune it back at your leisure.
Good.
Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this.
Grow extraordinary succulents and cactus indoors.
Water succulents are easy with lots of shapes, sizes, and colors.
Whether you're looking for a small cactus for an office desk or a huge statement succulent in your living room, we have the perfect plant.
But what are you waiting for? Extraordinary succulents and cactus await you at Watters.
Visit Watters Garden Center in Prescott today or wattersgardencenter.com to find the perfect succulent for your home and office.
So where I'm getting a lot of folks asking, when should I prune back? When should I cut back my flowers? When should I prune back my shrubs? The things are deciduous. When should I? When should I? They're anxious. There's the problem is the days are still really nice and your gardens are kind of going to sleep. So you want to be out there still doing stuff. So the tomatoes mine took it in the chin with that cold last week. They're not going to produce anymore. So as soon as you pick that last fruit off, just pull it out of the ground. You're fine. Veggies, your summer vegetables, kind of that way. So your things that form a fruit are your summer vegetables. They don't like the frost. And so this cold, they're not gonna be happy. They're gonna let you know, or just turn black and die. So those, you can pick that last watermelon, get that last squash, get the last cucumbers, and then pull the plant out of the ground and expose the soil to the cold. That is going to reduce disease, going to get rid of insects that are kind of wintering over. You want that ground not covered up in dead plants where things can kind of get underneath there. It's like insulation. It makes sure they come back and get you next year. So leave it exposed. I even take I clean up the gardens and I'll actually put my manure down. So I like a 2 to 3 inch layer of manure on top of my vegetable gardens, especially, or my annual flower beds. And I'll let that rest on that ground until I plant next year. Usually March, I'm starting to plant potatoes. I'm planting lettuce, lettuce, things that you're harvesting the leaves or the flower head, like broccoli. That's a flower you're eating. That's why it's so delicious. Cauliflower, that's a flower you're eating. So those things are cold. They like the cool. They don't like the heat. The heat stuff, they're kind of done right now. That's why they turn black on you. Frost got them. It's happened in one night, vaporized, unless you were protecting them. Or you folks that cheat, you've got greenhouses. That's just wrong. I mean, I'm just jealous. So that's good stuff. So you were protected. You were okay. Those of us that are growing outdoors, the frost got us. Depending on your elevation, the frost kind of took them out. If not, they're coming your way pretty quick. So the average first frost date for the mountains of Arizona, all the areas. So if you're tuned in your area, but I'm from Sedona. That doesn't matter. You're the same. Cottonwoods. I've got to be on the river. I've got to be specialer than you. Prescott, Dewey, Humboldt, the folks out in Paulden. We're all the same. Our first frost date, first frost event, typically, it's 100 years of data, is October 28th. So that's about Halloween. So if you're a little bit lower elevation, let's say you're 4,000 foot level. So that's the Skull Valleys, Kirklands, the Cottonwoods, those are, maybe you're November 2nd. A couple days later, it's really not that much more. If you're up in Groom Creek, Highland Pines, the ridge lines, maybe you're October 20th instead of the 28th. Maybe you're a few days ahead, but pretty much the local gardeners in this Central Highlands area, we tend to use Halloween as we need to be careful. If you want to keep things going, frost could show up at any time. Keep the sheets available. We want to keep those tomatoes, pick the last cucumbers. So we always have that. Our guard is up. In spring, our last frost is typically, the locals use Mother's Day as that. It's actually technically May 8th. That's our 100 years of data. It tends to land on May 8th. What that really means is that sometimes it's the end of April. You never quite know if it's an early spring, or sometimes I've seen it snow on Mother's Day. Sometimes it's in the middle, closer towards Memorial Day. Now, you folks up in the real cold areas, maybe you're Flagstaff, Williams, you tuned in from the White Mountains. Maybe you are Memorial Day. So you're definitely at that higher elevation. The main thing to watch, pruning wise, so your shrubs, especially new things, leave that structure, that plant. I know the leaves dropped off, but that branch structure protects the core of that plant, the heart of the plant. It keeps the cold off. It warms up. So those branches catch the rays of the sun. They keep the crown of that plant warm. And so don't be tempted to prune things right back to the ground like you will. Usually I'm waiting on my, let's say, autumn sage, Russian sage, my lavenders, rosemaries. I'm not going to cut those things back until after the cold of winter is done. So I'm going to wait till March. It's not too late. It's actually right on time. It's actually the best month to really do a lot of pruning because you've got the structure intact. And so for trees, March is better because the branches can kind of help shade some of the trunk areas. So it helps protect it from sun scald. There's some things that happen where the sun warms up the sap in the trunk, starts to flow, and then it gets really cold real quick. And then there's this cracking that happens on the branches, usually in February or March. So if you wait until let the cold do its thing, it'll protect the plants and you'll have less loss. You'll have a healthier plant next spring. You'll have more growth. You have better blooms, especially for your spring bloomers. Don't be tempted to prune back your spring blooming lilacs, forsythia, rhododendrons, azaleas. You'll prune it. You can, but you'll prune all the flowers off. So the buds are forming right now. Camellias, we actually have some in bloom here at the garden center. So if you do pruning now, you'll prune the flowers off. The health of the plant will be fine, but you don't get to enjoy the flowers. So don't be rushed. Take your time. We're not in a hurry. It's winter. We can take a slower pace in our gardens. Got more in store for you. Be right back after this.
Watters Garden companion plants for November are Vanderwolf pine, flowering pear, English ivy, and camellias.
Ice Angel camellias produce amazing 3-inch rosy blossoms with petals that radiate out from the center of.
Camellias deserve front yard status or admired on a patio or deck.
Well adapted to acidic soils beneath oaks, native junipers, and maples.
Loves shade gardens, containers, and raised beds.
Shop in-store or online at wattersgardencenter.com.
All right, so Ken and Lisa Watters Lain. Lisa is a Watters. Her father started Watters Garden Center back in 1962, and you just grew up here in the garden. It's funny. I hear not always men, sometimes just older individuals. They're coming, they're talking to you, and they're they're wondering if you know enough. Well, is there someone else that is maybe a man here? You see this weird cultural thing that happens, and when you're talking to a person that's foremost knowledge of the entire, probably state, at least for the Central Highlands, that knows plants. She grew up in the business, and then I see that a little bit with our kids. They were the same. They're in their late 20s. They've been in the business since they were in diapers. They know more than most gardeners, master gardeners know. Mm-hmm. And they're going, well, you're just too young. Give me someone else. I'm going to, okay, yeah. Whatever makes you comfortable, we're here for you.
And I would say, in addition to that, our staff is very well educated, very knowledgeable. Yeah. We got three that are Arizona certified nursery people. Which is a huge.
That's hard to get. There's 5 of us because you and I count too.
Right.
There's 5 of us. Most garden centers don't even have 1.
Right.
We got 5. This is where the Latin name, the common name, how to design it into a landscape for the proper spacing, how it's going to grow, how it's going to look 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. It's intense. It's like the bar if you're an attorney. It takes all day to actually take this test to be approved or not approved. And so it's just,
Right.
Arizona certified nursery professional.
Professional.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah. So we have 5 on staff,
Yeah.
and then just our staff is very knowledgeable. We do a lot of training. We do a lot to inform them so they can help our customers. And that it's super important for people to know. It's not just you and I that have all the knowledge, or
No.
it's the staff.
I mean,
that
I'm the
has
weak
enough.
link in the whole place because I'm running. If electricity goes down, or attorneys need to or accountants are doing, or looking at supply chain and talking to vendors and what's going to come down the pipeline.
Mhm.
I don't know what was delivered yesterday. They do. So they're more in tune with the rhythm day to day.
Mhm.
I'm more the rhythm of the seasonality of stuff.
There
So
you go.
anyway, good point. And I don't even know where that came up with, but anyway, I'm glad I'm
know.
here working with you, and
Yeah.
I respect your knowledge
Well,
of
thank you.
what you bring to the table.
I respect you too, dear.
Well, thank you. So tell me, how do you respect me the most? Let's go deeper into this.
I could have bet $100.
Every
that
man
you
that's
would say
tuned
that.
in right now is wanting the same thing from his significant other, and we just want to know. Anyway, let's go to gardening.
Yeah, women feel my pain on it. All right. So last week we talked about evergreen shrubs and
Yeah.
how important they are to have those evergreens in
Yeah.
your yard. This week we'll cover the trees.
Okay,
So
perfect.
The trees of winter. There
It's
we go.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely those evergreen trees that fill the space that you need in the wintertime in your yard. So I kind of divided it into sections, and I thought I'd start with pines.
Okay.
Because right now we have some gorgeous Austrian pines
Yeah,
in the
they're
yard. So
beautiful.
if you're looking for a nice evergreen, get some good size to it. 35 feet,
Yeah.
15, 20 feet wide. Fast grower, I would say, of the pines, they're probably one of the fastest. Would you agree
If
with
not
that?
the fast, you can get a couple feet a year out of them. That's fast for any plant,
Right.
but especially for evergreens.
Mhm. So
Oh, yeah.
that's the Austrian pine, also known as the
Austrian black
black
pine,
pine. Yeah,
Pinus nigris,
right.
Yep.
Oh, very good, dear. You showed your
black
Latin.
pine. Latin says pine. Pinus is pine. Negris is black. Yep. Black pine.
Okay. There's also the Bosnian pine, which they're all kind of cousins of each other. So
Yeah.
a little bit shorter needle, not quite as big a tree.
Right. Yeah, half size.
And its maturity, but another really one that does well. And then my favorite, which is the Oregon green pine.
Oh,
And I love this one because it fits into those smaller yards. Gets maybe 15 feet tall,
Yeah.
5 to 8 feet wide. It has a shorter needle to it than the Austrian, but it's very dense,
Yeah.
very lush.
Super
and that
green.
green is just, wow,
Yeah.
that's green. So nice little tree for a lot of the yards around here.
and all those you have in stock right now. So
Mhm.
they're of course we're building up a lot like the Oregon green.
Right.
That makes a good Christmas tree. It's just so
Oh, sure.
perfectly layered, shorter needle, dense.
Mhm.
Just screams, hug me. Of course, it's kind of pokey, but
Well,
it looks
There
fuzzy.
is one you can hug,
Okay,
is the Vanderwolf
Oh.
pine.
good.
So we do have some lovely Vanderwolfs in, kind of a variegated needle on it. We always kind of call it the teddy bear tree because you could go stroke it, hug it, and it's not
It's
going to
pretty.
poke on you.
Yeah.
So that's
It
another
looks like
one.
it's a pine tree that went to the hair salon, called it hairdresser, and got a do, came back
Right.
and went, plant me.
Yeah.
It looks like that because you can't go by it without touching it,
Right.
going, admiring it.
Mhm. It really is a pretty one. Of course, the spruce, they do quite well in our area as well. The Colorado blue spruce is probably one
Classic.
that most people are familiar with. They have come out with the baby blue, which really is a beautiful blue for the spruce. It really keeps its color. It has that real silvery blue. Little smaller there
Yeah.
again for compared to the Colorado spruce, but a really pretty tree. I'm very impressed with how their uniformity and their size and their color.
It looks like a Christmas tree,
Mhm.
only it's got bright silver. You put little Christmas lights on that out in the yard, or miniature
Oh, they're
lights.
beautiful.
The thing is going to glow at night.
Mhm.
It's so silvery blue, and the needles are about the same length, but there's more of them.
Yeah.
So it has this perfect shape to it.
Mhm.
And quite honestly, Colorado spruce, it's a great tree. It's the fastest growing of all the spruce, but it's too big for most yards.
Yeah, it
The
is.
baby blue eyes, the backer eyes,
Mhm.
and some of these others, Fat Albert spruce,
Mhm.
there's so much they're uniform, they're brighter colored,
Yeah.
and they don't get so doggone big.
Easier in the
So,
landscapes.
Yeah, and
definitely.
they're just as hardy as the native Colorado
Mhm.
spruce.
Black Hill spruce,
Yep,
which is another
nice green.
short needle green, a little on the slower growing side. And then, of course, Alberta spruce, which is great if you're looking for a living tree or you like to decorate out in your
Yeah.
yard. They do tremendous in containers because they're so slow growing. They're easy to grow in a container.
Yeah, you had some come in. They were the
Oh, they're
biggest ones I've ever
gorgeous.
seen. They're taller
Yeah.
than I am.
Yeah.
For an Alberta spruce, this if you've got really green thumbs, it might grow 3 inches a year. This thing is now
You're
taller than I
lucky.
am. Think how old this tree is.
Yeah.
It's like instantaneous
Mhm.
spectacle. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
To get them that size is unusual, and they are beautiful.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And only found
at Watters
at
Garden
Watters
Center.
Garden Center. Yeah.
1815.
Truly,
Honestly.
that's the case. Truly, yeah.
Right, right. So then we kind of went into the cypress. So we have the blue ice Arizona cypress.
Nice.
Does very well. Very pretty tree. We have one from called Chaparral, which is a little more of a sagey green Arizona cypress.
Yeah.
Really nicely out there. We have Deodar cedars, and then Atlas cedar.
You explain Atlas because most people don't know what that is. So it's
Well, the Atlas, I think there's a huge one down at the courthouse.
it's the statehood tree down on right downtown Prescott on the courthouse.
Mhm.
That is the statehood tree. They planted 2 of them back in 1914, and now they're like towering above the elm trees.
Yeah, I don't think people even really see them sometimes.
They're so
'cause they're
big.
so big,
Just huge.
But we also have those in a serpentine, so they've trained it to do like
Yeah.
an S shaped, and then also weeping, where it just kind of bends over and grows down. I love those. I think they're spectacular. But nice silvery blue, just a really nice little layered tree. I think they're beautiful.
Drought hardy as all get
Mhm.
out. And I'm sure that the original tree was brought by Conestoga wagon from the East Coast, well, probably by 1914, by train from the East Coast. They brought them in and they planted it there, and it just kept going. So they're tough.
Right.
So, but all this, the Arizona cypress, that icy blue, the bright silver blue,
So pretty.
that is the prettiest native you could
Mhm.
plant out there.
Yeah.
That's so robust. That's this bright colored. So
Mhm.
all those can be planted now. In fact,
Yep.
you have your best selection of evergreens you can plant right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't spring. We won't have this many evergreens that you can plant because it's time to put them in the ground.
Mhm.
And so we've dedicated more space. We can get more of them this time of year.
Right.
Thank you, Lisa. Out of time, just like that.
Yeah.
A list of 10 evergreens, and there we go. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners, and talking about evergreen trees. Be right back.
Watters Garden companion plants for November are flowering pear, English ivy, camellias, and Vanderwolf pine.
Vanderwolf is related to Arizona pines with fluffy foliage,
It's remarkably resilient in dry Arizona soils.
makes a graceful specimen in yards or expansive estate landscapes.
This distinctive pine, long, twisted, silver blue needles covering the dense branches.
Carefree and easy to grow.
Shop by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. So in autumn, we tend to find that now through winter, really, but it starts now, that deer and rabbit tend to eat more things than you're used to. It's kind of, you're seeing some pressure there. So some of their things that they like to eat were that frost as they go dormant. They're going, hey, where's the stuff? Where's my favorite stuff? It's no longer here. It doesn't taste as good. It's more brittle. What's going on? Or the nutrients aren't there. They've all reverted back. So a lot of perennials, they hibernate underground. And so their top growth goes brown. And so they're after that sweet, juicy, sappy, soft, delicious top growth. But now it's hibernate underground. So now they'll mosey around the yard, your gardens, the neighborhood, trying out new things. And so there's some plants I thought I would just touch on, some techniques to keep deer and rabbits out. And then maybe some plants that are less prone to that. So let's go into that. First of all, deer proof, rabbit proof. There's no such thing. So I've got a list here at the garden center called deer and rabbit proof resistive plants, and with some techniques on how to keep them out. But really, it's resistive. Deer, I mean, they're kind of like cattle. They've got two stomachs, and so they've got a front and a back. And sometimes they're eating things they normally don't eat. And they're going, "Oh, this is the texture's good," and then it starts to go, "Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make me feel so good. I think I'll just move on." So graze things, even though they're not really eating it, they're just bored, or they're trying things before they eat it all the way to the ground. But really, the only way to keep deer and rabbit out of the yard truly is a fence of some sort. It's a physical barrier. I found that, you read all the articles and they say 8-foot fence. That's a minimum you should be. Well, no HOA is going to let an 8-foot fence in there. It's just too big. It's too expensive. I found that a 6-foot generally works pretty well too. So 6-foot will keep them out. Elk and deer. So we've got some elk in Skull Valley. Out towards Baghdad, there's another herd out there. And of course, you folks up in that, as you go up the elevation towards Williams, that's when you started to get into elk country, Payson, elk country. So Strawberry, elk country. So about 6 foot. And I think what it is, they can jump it. But, you got to remember, they don't have health insurance. There's no emergency room to help them. If they break a leg, it's over. And so they're kind of cautious. They'd rather not. If there's anything around besides that, they'll do that. And so a fence, I've had good luck with the electric fence, especially with rabbits and with javelina. Really keeps them out. About a javelina, I've got a wire a foot off the ground. It's 12 volts. It's not going to electrocute them. Little piglets, they're so cute. They're not going to be harmed, but it just shocks them. They're going to go, whoa, what's going on? The whole herd freaks out and runs off, and they don't come back. So it just spooks them. In the orchard, I raised my family in Skull Valley. And so they grew up on ranches and farms, and we farmed orchards and barns and 4-H projects, all that kind of stuff. And so down there, we'd put let's say an apple tree. That's one of their favorites. Deer love fruit trees. They're just so sweet. The wood is sweet. The fruit is sweet. Everything, the leaves, delicious. They like them. So we plant a new tree. Of course, they're noticing right away, going, hey, there's a new plant. Let's go try it. We'd put a just regular field fence, the typical 6 foot buried in the ground, pound it in the ground, down to about chest high, put field fence around it. But here's the insider tip. We're in horse country. And deer, the way you keep horses from eating your barn, they like to nibble on stuff. You put electric fence right there, or you keep them, or you keep any more cattle, you keep them in with electric fence. So the deer, they know those little yellow insulators. Well, I'll get zipped if I get near those. That's like painful. I don't want that. And so we put a dummy insulator on there's one they make at the end of those fence posts. We just put one on just 4 corners, put one on each, never put a wire in it, never electrified it. They know it's a scarecrow effect. They know, don't reach in, try to get in there. We'd let the tree grow up until we'd let them prune it up to about where they can stand, about 6.5 foot high. And then that's the perfect level to prune a fruit tree in an orchard, because now you can drive the tractor, you can kind of move things around. It's perfect. So so we keep it there for 2-3 years, push the growth, and then take that field fence off, and all was well. Repellents. There's actually some scented things, granular, and granular works really good in a flower bed to keep rabbits off. They get the castor bean oil or the garlics, the rotten eggs. They're different. They're all organic, but they get it on their feet and they kind of preen and go, oh, what just happened? Don't go over there. Bad things happen every time. So repellents work really well. And then there's some that you spritz on the foliage. They're organic. They really work out. Of course, your grandparents, they use blood meal. They just sprinkled blood meal around the yard, good fertilizer. But the reason they did that was fertilize, and then as a repellent, when rabbits or when things smell blood, they're going, oh my gosh, my neighbors just got it here. I can smell the blood. Something's going on. Stay away. It spooks them out. And so it gets a barrier. The problem is you have to reapply it pretty often. It's the same with human hair. You hear that's an old wives' tale. I don't find it works that well, but if you can get enough, maybe. But they smell the hair. They go, humans are here. Be careful. Guards up. Problem is, it fades off so quick. That hair smell, the human hair smell, goes away faster. So scented soaps, you'll hear Ivory Springs sometimes. Generally, it works. sort of, I think they get used to the smell is what happens. And so they keep moving on. Really, you're better off putting plants they just don't like. And start with herbs. Herbs, so rosemary and lavender, and now all the herbal families, thymes. Generally speaking, animals don't like herbs. I know we do, but they don't like that scent and that smell and the oils. Doesn't sit well with them. So catmint, parsley, sages, tansy, all those herbal things they don't like. You can walk your neighborhood too and see certain plants. So walk your neighborhood, you'll find they don't eat forsythia bushes. So they're right there in the neighborhood where that herd of 8 deer are roaming around. They don't bother those. So hollies and junipers, the natives like mahonia and cotoneaster, they don't eat those. So nandina, you folks from California, heavenly bamboo, they don't. It's a beautiful plant, but it's got a sap in it they don't like to eat. And so kind of watch some of those. We can help guide you through some of that, help you. Trees, we're finding they're starting to scrape the bark off the trees. So they can, especially tasty trees like aspens, cottonwoods, sycamores, maples, they can kind of rub the bucks will rub the velvet off their antlers. And then sometimes in the winter, they'll just eat the bark underneath, the wood just underneath. That cambium layer underneath the bark is super sweet. That's the living tissue. And they like to peel it off and eat it sometimes. If you see that, come see us right away before it calluses over. You can spray it with some black paint or pruning paint is what we call it. You spray it right there. Then we wrap it with a tree wrap. There's a brown one that looks very natural. You're basically bandaging that plant to keep the deer off, to repair the damage, and then to keep the deer off. They're not going to mess with that tree wrap stuff. So the tree likes it, and it keeps the deer away. Quite honestly, if you do have deer in the area, they're going to be and you notice them going after your tree trunks or lower branches. I had really good luck. Now, this is not in any book, but my name's Ken. We're just gardeners sharing over the airwaves. This works really well in where I had elk and deer. Now they're eating on my walnut tree. Oh my gosh, I couldn't keep them off. So I took some bird netting. So regular old bird netting you put over an apple tree to keep the birds off. So peaches, keep the birds off. I just lightly floated that 3 times around the trunk, staple gunned it. So it's like this floating netting. But they didn't mess with that. They were not interested. It took the pressure off immediately. And so they didn't bother. And I couldn't see it. So some of these, they make deer fencing put around them. It's orange. It's ugly. I don't want to see that in my garden or around my trunks. Bird netting, you don't even see it. It doesn't hurt the plant. So just some insider tips. Come in and ask for our deer and rabbit resistant plant list. We can give you the grand tour, show you. If you got a lot of pressure, we can show you how to kind of compensate for that. But you can have nice gardens and be in this wildland interface where lots of animals roam around. You can have beautiful gardens. Be right back after this. For luxurious evergreens in the yard, look no further than Watters.
We have a luscious selection of evergreens that look their best in winter, so you can enjoy a beautiful landscape no matter the cold.
Locally grown for stunning appearance and ability to thrive in cold weather.
Perfect for that touch of luxury your neighbors are sure to be jealous of.
Luxurious evergreens at Watters Garden Center in Prescott and wattersgardencenter.com.
Your one-stop shop for evergreens. Visit us today.
Now, I touched on it just at the beginning of the show, but I think I should give it a little bit more justice, just a little bit more deeper. And so come in and ask for the handout. It's right there. Anyone that's a horticulturalist here at the Garden Center, the water guide is on the back of their card because it's the number one question we get. And we're getting this is really for you new folks, the rookies are just new to the area. You get tricked into turn the irrigation off in November and don't water again until next April. And we have some serious dry spells through winter. If a plant is dry and it goes through serious cold, especially when it drops from like 60 to 19 degrees, that's going to mess with plants. And so we get what we call winter kill or winter burn. The tips of the branches die back. Actually, the entire plant can die off if you're not careful. So you don't want your plants to go dry through winter. Now, how often do you need to water to keep them happy and healthy? Now they're dormant. So they've lost some of their leaves. The deciduous plants are now naked or going to be here within a month. the last of the last Bradford pear will drop its leaves, and so things are dormant. But the sap is still flowing. The plant is truly not. It's in hibernation. It's not actually like just frozen. So it's in stasis. So it still needs some nutrients, some water. How often? So about twice a month. Give it a deep soak. Well, will my landscaper turn my irrigation off? Well, do what your grandparents did. Drag a hose out there on a nice day. You know you need some sunshine. Go take care of your plants, especially the new things. So a brand new, let's say, spruce tree or a new fruit tree you just planted in the spring, or new crepe myrtle. Another ones are autumn sage. Anything with the herbal sage, salvia names, they need some care. They don't want to go dry through winter. I know they're drought hardy, but they're not impenetrable to cold. The cold is what keeps the antifreeze flowing up and down that tree. And so when they get real dry, they'll just go, okay, we're dry. I can't keep everything alive. Let the branches, the ends go. And if it gets bad enough, you go right back to the heart of the plant, kills the plant. We saw quite a bit. Even I lost some autumn sage last year. So this is a real cute little knee-high hardy shrub. Has red flowers, not always red, purple, pinks kind of flower. The hummingbirds love them. They're a very popular seller. Probably definitely one of the top 10 shrubs that we sell here at the garden center, at least here in Prescott, because it's so pretty, hardy, and the hummingbirds love it. Butterflies love it. But it can be kind of sensitive when the roots are real small. It can dry out a little faster. And so in winter, that's when you lose them. So next spring, if you lost any last winter, that's probably what it was. It just got a little bone dry, got some serious cold, and it just vaporized. Easy recovery for $10. You can get a new one. But gardeners, you know how hard that is to watch a plant die. These are like puppy dogs. They're in the ground. You don't want them to suffer. And by just watering them a couple times a month, that'll be enough, especially the bigger or the evergreen thing. So if you got a big maple tree you just planted, or a cluster of aspens, I know they're dormant, just water them a couple times a month. That's enough to keep them super happy. You will get better growth next spring if you do that. If you don't, they can be stunted. The leaves can be smaller. Things happen. Evergreens, especially your broadleaf evergreens. So red tip photinias, euonymus, your cotoneasters, hedges. You really want to water those a couple times a month. That'll keep them where they flush with new growth. It'll keep them greener. Just take the hose out and give them a drink, or turn the irrigation on. Let it run for a couple. No, you're not playing with it. You're not playing with the time frame. So if you water 90 minutes in the summer, that's how often you water. You're just changing the cycle. How often do I do it? So every 14 days, that's enough. Keep them going. That's how you water plants in your yard.
Watters Garden companion plants for November are Vanderwolf pine, flowering pear, English ivy, and camellias.
Ice Angel camellias produce amazing 3-inch rosy blossoms with petals that radiate out from the center of.
Camellias deserve front yard status or admired on a patio or deck.
Well adapted to acidic soils beneath oaks, native junipers, and maples.
Loves shade gardens, containers, and raised beds.
Shop in-store or online at wattersgardencenter.com.
For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.